They looked like the future. Then year 4 hit. The warranty ran out, the repair bills started landing, and the resale values collapsed. Today we're counting down 7 EVs that owners genuinely wish they'd never signed for. And the brand sitting at number 1 is one most buyers thought was untouchable. Let's get into it. Number 7. Volkswagen ID.4. This one sold in huge numbers, and for a while it looked like VW had genuinely figured out the electric transition. Then the door handles started letting water into the circuit board controlling them, causing doors to open unexpectedly. The recall hit nearly 100,000 cars, triggered a full production halt in late 2024, and was followed in December 2025 by a separate recall for battery fire risk. Owners told to park outside, avoid DC fast charging, and cap charging at 80% until modules could be replaced. The software has been a running disaster from day one. Infotainment freezes, touchscreen lag, phantom warning lights, climate controls that disappear mid-drive because the system has decided to reboot itself. Over-the-air updates were supposed to fix it. In practice, some updates introduced new bugs while patching old ones. Then there's the 12-volt battery drain. Yes, EVs still have a small 12-volt battery for the low-voltage electronics. And on early ID.4s, that battery has a habit of dying when the car sits for just a few days. You walk out to a fully charged main pack in a car that won't wake up. Later cars are clearly better, but buyers picking up early examples on the used market are walking into a service history headache that's hard to predict. And if a mainstream Volkswagen can turn into this much of a question mark, the next one is going to raise some eyebrows. Number 6. Tesla Model S, pre-2021. A lot of people watching this didn't expect to see this brand on a regret list, let alone this early. But early Model S examples are a genuinely complicated ownership proposition right now, and the headline number is brutal. An out-of-warranty battery replacement on a pre-2021 car runs between $15,000 and $22,000 depending on configuration. That's more than some of these cars are worth on the used market today. Then there's the MCU-1 infotainment unit in pre-2018 cars. The embedded memory chip, the eMMC, wears out through normal use. When it fails, the touchscreen dies, and with it goes your access to climate controls, charging settings, the backup camera, and a long list of other functions you didn't realize lived on that one screen. Tesla's official replacement runs several $1,000s. The drive units are the other headache. Early cars went through multiple replacements under warranty, but those warranties are long gone now. Add aging air suspension and worn retractable door handles, and the running costs add up fast. Having looked at a number of these cases, the pattern is depressingly consistent. A buyer picks up a cheap-looking high-mileage example, doesn't check battery health, and discovers within a year that they've bought a project rather than a daily driver. It's still a landmark car, and a well-maintained example is genuinely brilliant. Buy the wrong one, though, and you'll spend more keeping it on the road than you did buying it. Before we get into number 5, if you want the full breakdown on what to check before buying any used EV, battery health, charging history, red flags by brand, I've put together a complete guide covering everything you need to know. Links in the description. Now onto a car that should have been bulletproof on paper, but has one engineering decision sitting at the heart of every complaint. Number 5. Nissan Leaf, 2018 to 2022. This should have been the people's EV. Affordable, practical, backed by a manufacturer with more electric vehicle experience than almost anyone on the market. Instead, Nissan made one engineering decision that's haunted every owner since. The battery has no active thermal management, no liquid cooling, no proper temperature regulation, just passive air. In 2018, that single choice is responsible for more regret here than every other issue combined. In hot climates, Arizona, Texas, the southern states, much of Australia, these batteries can lose 20 to 30% of capacity within 4 or 5 years in extreme heat, far faster than competitors with liquid cooling. Owners doing repeated DC fast charges see the second and third sessions throttled hard, sometimes down to speeds barely faster than a home wall box. The car protects itself, but it leaves you sitting at the charger watching the percentage crawl. Having spent time around these cars, the pattern is consistent. Buyers who charge mostly at home in moderate climates are usually fine. Buyers in hot states who rely on the public network for road trips end up frustrated within the first year. The CHAdeMO charging standard is the second nail in the coffin. It's being phased out across North America, and Europe in favor of CCS and NACS, and new CHAdeMO installations have effectively stopped. A 3-year-old example is a perfectly good car, but it's tied to a charging standard the rest of the industry is actively abandoning. That single fact has hammered resale values flat, and resale collapse is a theme that only gets worse from here, especially when premium badges start entering the conversation. Number 4. BMW i3. This little German oddball was genuinely ahead of its time. Carbon fiber construction, rear-hinged coach doors, a silhouette that still turns heads today. The problem is that everything clever about the i3 turns expensive the moment something goes wrong. Start with the range extender variant. The Rex, the little 2-cylinder gasoline generator under the trunk floor, was meant to top up the battery on longer trips. In practice, those generators have suffered from fuel system gumming, injector failures, and carbon buildup when owners didn't use them often enough. A Rex rebuild can run anywhere from $3,000 at an independent shop to over $10,000 at a dealer. And on a high-mileage i3 worth less than that, you're looking at a write-off decision over a part most owners barely understood when they bought the car. The carbon fiber body is the second trap. Brilliant when nothing goes wrong. Genuinely expensive to fix when something does. A modest parking lot bump that would be a $500 repair on a steel-bodied car can run into the thousands here. And not every body shop has the certification or equipment to do the work properly. Insurance write-offs are more common than you'd expect for what looks like cosmetic damage. Production ended in 2022, and parts availability is already getting tighter. As a fun city car, it's still a great drive. As a long-term ownership proposition, plenty of owners have backed away from it. And once we step up into Audi territory, the repair bills go from annoying to 5 figures and climbing. Number 3. Audi e-tron, first generation. This was billed as the German answer to Tesla. Solid build quality, that familiar 4-ring badge, a polished interior a generation ahead of anything else in the segment. The problem started before owners even left the dealership. The real-world range never matched the brochure. EPA estimates hovered around 204 miles, but in cold weather, on the highway, with the heating running, owners regularly reported figures in the 160s and even 150s. That's nearly a quarter of the advertised range gone, on a car priced north of $70,000 new. The bigger problem is what started landing once these cars age past the 4-year mark. The high-voltage system has produced some genuinely eye-watering repair bills out of warranty. Battery module faults, charging unit failures, and thermal management issues. We're talking invoices between $8,000 and $15,000, depending on the fault. Audi parts pricing has never been gentle, and the diagnostic equipment required for high-voltage work limits your options for independent repair sharply. Then there's the depreciation, and this is where it gets ugly. A car that stickered at around $74,000 new is now trading at well under a third of that figure. Roughly 2/3 of its value gone in 5 years. Buyers who leased got out clean. Buyers who purchased outright took the full hit. And many of them have said publicly they wouldn't do it again. And as bad as those numbers are, they're not even close to what's coming next. Number 2. Jaguar I-PACE. This was supposed to be Jaguar's Tesla killer. Stunning design, genuine performance, premium interior, and the prestige of a British luxury badge that promised something more characterful than another German SUV. It won European Car of the Year in 2019, and then the ownership reports started landing. The depreciation number is the headline. A car that cost around $70,000 new is now trading at figures that would shock the original owner. Some examples have lost over 70% of their value in 5 years. That's worse than almost anything else in the premium EV segment, and it tells you everything about how the used market views these cars. But the depreciation is just the entry fee. The real problem is that out-of-warranty repair bills here can exceed the value of the car itself. Jaguar dealer labor rates are premium, parts are slow to arrive, particularly anything high voltage, and a serious battery fault or drive unit failure can produce an invoice between $15,000 and $30,000 on a car that might only be worth $20,000. It gets worse. The 12-volt battery drain has been so persistent that Jaguar issued multiple software updates trying to fix it. And even now, owners report cars that won't wake up after sitting for a few days. There have been multiple battery-related recalls, including one for fire risk that required permanent software limits on charging, which themselves reduced usable range. Having worked through several of these cases, the pattern is brutally consistent. The car gets parked, the owner gets a quote, the math doesn't work, and a premium SUV from 5 years ago becomes a write-off decision today. Jaguar quietly discontinued the I-PACE at the end of 2024, leaving owners with an orphaned platform. And that's enough to put it at number 2. But the car that beats it managed something even worse, a brand new platform that was abandoned before it even reached most markets. Number 1. Mercedes-Benz EQC. Here's the one a lot of viewers didn't see coming. This was Mercedes' answer to the Model X, premium badge, that signature 3-pointed star, a familiar interior lifted from the GLC, and a price tag firmly in luxury EV territory. The problem is it was never really an EV in the first place. The EQC was fundamentally a converted internal combustion platform. Mercedes adapted the GLC chassis for electric power rather than building a dedicated EV platform from the ground up, and it shows. Real-world range struggled to clear 200 miles in mixed driving, dropping into the 150s in winter, on a car that cost around $70,000 new. Then Mercedes withdrew it from the US market entirely before customer deliveries even began, leaving European, UK, Chinese, and Australian owners holding a car with a tiny global support network. Parts are slow, dealer expertise is thin, and Mercedes has already moved on to the EQE and EQS platforms, leaving this one as orphaned hardware. The repair bills are the gut punch, charging unit failures running between $10,000 and $18,000. Drive motor faults requiring complete unit replacement. Thermal management issues leaving cars off the road for weeks waiting for parts that have to ship internationally. Mercedes quietly ended production in mid-2023 after just 64,000 cars sold worldwide, a fraction of what the EQE and EQS now move in a single year. And because the model was so quietly killed, residual values have collapsed by over 60% in 4 years, harder than almost any premium EV on sale. Here's the part that stings most. Mercedes buyers expect Mercedes ownership. They expect the badge to mean something when things go wrong. Instead, owners discovered that being an early adopter of a soon-to-be orphaned model is one of the most brutal financial positions in the car world. A premium badge doesn't protect you from a flawed platform. And that's the lesson that puts the EQC at the top of this list. 7 EVs, 7 different stories of regret. Some were mainstream bets that hit software walls. Some were premium plays that aged badly. And some were genuinely good cars, trapped on the wrong side of a technology transition. The common thread is that none of them looked like bad buys on the showroom floor. The regret only showed up later, when the warranty ran out and the repair invoices started landing. The takeaway isn't to avoid EVs. The takeaway is to know exactly what you're buying before you sign anything. Check the battery health, check the charging standard, check the parts availability for your specific model in your specific market, and check what these cars are actually worth 3 and 4 years down the road, because that number tells you more than any brochure ever will. If you want all of that broken down properly, every red flag, every brand-specific weak point, every check that protects you from buying a 5-figure mistake, I've put together a complete used EV buyer's guide that covers it all. Links in the description. I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you owned one of these 7? Did it work out, or did you live the regret? Drop your story below. It could save another viewer thousands of dollars. And if you found this video useful, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel with notifications on. Thanks for watching.